Hi all, so in this video I'll be sharing my experience as a neonatal SHO working in NICU. How was my first night shift working there, what problems and challenges I faced, what was the good part, the bad part, and what was the worst part. So let's start. Once you start your night shift, you are handed over a bleep which is like a ticking bomb. It can go off any time of the night. So you can be called for deliveries in the delivery suite, you can be called for sick babies in the postnatal ward, and you can be called for babies in any other part of the unit if a baby falls sick. So it in my shifts it used to continuously bleep every half an hour. I'll be called for multiple deliveries here and there, and it can be very tiring physically and mentally as well, because you have to be on your toe all the time. You have to quickly take decisions. For example, you are called for a delivery for a 33-week, you and the risk factor is mom had a spontaneous rupture of membrane, and then you are called for the delivery and all of a sudden the baby comes out flat, floppy. So you start with the NRP. So there's so many things sticking in your mind. You are grabbing the history, what they're saying, the midwife are telling you about the history. At the same time, you're managing the baby. So it can be very overwhelming initially, but however the system is very supportive as well. So whenever you feel you're overwhelmed, you can't just handle the pressure, you can re-escalate to your seniors, you can ask people for their help, you can ask your colleagues, your co-SHO, you can ask them to hold the bleep for some time so that you can get some rest, you can relieve your mind, you can have a coffee or something like that. So the system is otherwise very supportive. So it's not like it's you only, there'll be people, however you'll be assigned for a job, but you can ask for help anytime. Then secondly, while I'm holding the bleep, I'm also managing my babies in the ward. So I am posted usually with a registrar when but however when it's a low dependency unit, you'll be posted alone. So even a baby can crash anywhere, even in the postnatal ward in the low dependency when you are alone. So you are supposed to take care of the baby, right? You have to take night rounds for every baby, what all is going on. You will be responsible for physical examinations of the baby overnight. You will be responsible for doing the paperwork, updating the handover sheet. You will be responsible for doing all the essential work that is needed, blood sampling, cannulation. You can be called for cannulation anywhere in the unit, so you are supposed to be ready with that as well. So it can be very busy. Trust me, we have done worse shifts back home, but here as well, if you're working in a tertiary level hospital, a specialized hospital, things can be very tough, which is expected also. But then yes, it's not very easy to work over 12 hours for continuous 4 nights. It can be very overwhelming. Then the next thing I would want to highlight here, as somebody who's coming from India and it was my first night shift, it was, it takes a lot of time for you to understand their accent. I'm telling you, it's not that easy. So when in the initial few months when I came, I could not really understand what they were saying. Even if you think you have good English, you have good you know you can understand English pretty well, still you would feel it's very difficult to understand their accent. They can have different consultant coming from different part of the UK. Some people with Scottish Ireland, these accent are absolutely a nightmare to work with, and you have to, I have to continuously remind my colleague, can you be please a bit slower to what you are saying, because I'm sorry but I'm not able to understand you. So obviously when you're dealing with patient and patient care, you have to be very you have to remind them. You do not want to miss any important part what they're saying, so you have to tell them, can you be please bit slow. So I faced this problem when I used to go for the theater for the delivery. The midwife, they would just start telling about the history, and our ears were not used to that accent. Now that it's been quite a long time that I'm working, so I am used to that accent, I could say. But initially it was not the case. So yes, I faced difficulty with the accent. Then it is back home when we did not, though rarely, but in private hospitals, when we used to get time, we used to take a nap. We used to rest in our doctor's room. So we do not have in our hospital a dedicated doctor room. It is open to everyone, like nurses, ward clerk. Besides, there is the concept of resting when there is no work is not there. Obviously there's work every time, but even if suppose you are absolutely free at for another 1 or 2 hours, it's not like you can go and rest. So people here divide their rest hours, which is usually 1 hour. So in 12 hours of shift, it will be 1 hour of sleep. You can go and rest, and in that 1 hour it is absolutely difficult to fall asleep. Imagine it, if you go to the bed and you try to take a nap, and it may take 45, in my case it takes me 45 minutes to fall asleep at times. So it is very difficult to get up within another 15 minutes. So that 1 hour break is almost a waste. But yeah, for your mental clarity, your mental rest, it is important. People often do not go to sleep in that 1 hour. They'll watch something on the phone, they'll have coffee, they'll chat, they'll roam around the hospital just to have that relaxation, because it's another half of the night that is still left. So that's my strategy. I personally do not go to sleep in that 1 hour. I just read something, see something, scroll on the phone or something. I know it's not healthy, but that's how I manage my night shifts. So once you are done with the night, once you are officially done with your hours from 8:15 p.m. to 8:15 a.m., then it is a time for handover, wherein you will find your morning team will come and you'll have to hand them over all the patients that you have been seeing over the night, what were their issues, what's been going on, and what you have planned. So you have to give the handover, and the handover here is very structured handover. They follow this S-bar format, which stands for situation, background assessment, and any recommendation. So what suppose 32-week baby who's on high flow suddenly deteriorated in the night, and what you have done, you assess that there was work of breathing, and then what are the recommendation, that please send a septic screen, or I have sent a septic screen, kindly chase blood culture and this and that. So it's a very structured format of S-bar, which I'll be discussing in some other video. So yes, I would if I have to pick, the most difficult part of my night shift is the bleep, holding the bleep, which can go off at any times. It's just so frustrating to run everywhere: postnatal ward, delivery suite, labor ward, theaters, with random deliveries happening, and you are alone there managing. However, you can re-escalate, but at that moment you have to use your brain, because you can't let the baby crash. Till the time the team comes and to help you, you have to manage all alone. So it can be really very overwhelming initially. However, with time things got easy, and I feel I am more confident in managing things now, and it will be like that for all of us. So do not worry, it will eventually improve. And things were difficult when we started our shifts in back home as well. However, to know how things work, it became easy. So similar will be the case here. So do not worry, it was just my personal experience, what I felt I have shared with you. Did not have any intention to scare anyone off. It's an amazing place to work and get experience. NHS takes care of their doctor very, very well. So if you, unlike back home, you can always tell people that you are overburdened, that there is a breaking point, and there'll be people who will be listening to you, which I felt was not the case back home. When during our residency, even if you are broken down, there was no one to take care. So this is the difference I feel, and this was my experience of my first night. So meet you in another video. Thank you so much for now. Bye.